hear me? Can I get a 5x5 in the chat, please and thank you? I've been driving around the area that I'm in for the last 40 minutes trying to find a place with enough upload speed. So, 5x5 would be appreciated. It is the 26th of June, 2024. We're going to do the brief this morning. I'm Bear from the internet, although I'm positive you guys already know that. Shalom, everybody. What's up, Palmetto? The show is brought to you by the creator of the universe, Yahweh your Elohim, the Lord your God. You might not believe in him, but he believes in you. It's brought to you by the fine people over at Patreon. Link is in the description. And of course, Refuge Medical. You know, one of these guys right here. Thank you, Richard. We're going to do the brief today. It is We're All Gonna Die Wednesday. So, hopefully not today, just some other Wednesday. Sound good? Sound good. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in an interview broadcast on Sunday that he was, quote, prepared to make a partial deal. This is no secret that will return to us some of the hostages, but we are committed to continuing the war after a pause in order to complete the goal of eliminating Hamas. I'm not willing to give up on that, end quote. This comment is not in alignment with the terms of the deal and has only added tension to Israel's relationship with the United States. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that it was, quote, just a recipe for continued conflict, continued instability, and continued insecurity for Israel, end quote. Additionally, in Israel, the families of the hostages as well as politicians have reacted negatively. The Hostage and Missing Families Forum said that his statement was, quote, an unprecedented national failure and a failure to meet the goals of the war, end quote. The group released a video of the violent October 7th kidnapping of 3 of those hostages. Hamas said in a statement that the comments were, quote, clear confirmation of his rejection, end quote, of a ceasefire proposal. Hey, Isaac and Ishmael do not get along. They've never gotten along. The day they get along, I'm going to be very, very watchful because it's probably the Antichrist that brokers that peace deal. But that's Bible stuff. You may be asking yourself, who cares about Bible stuff? I do. Listen, it surprises me just as much as everybody else, but I'm actually an ordained pastor who says 4-letter words and drinks whiskey on occasion. And there's at least one asshole out there, I'm looking at you, redneck SOB, that has a problem with the fact that I operate 5 companies. Yeah, the reason I operate 5 companies is because I don't take a dime from the ministries. I don't take a dime from the Bible reading. I don't any of that. Is it lawful for the ox to munch some grain while he treads the grain out? Yeah, do not muzzle the ox as he treads out the grain. 100%. But I don't want to do that because I think when you mix revenue and the word of God together, people then start to capitulate on the word of God in order to get as much revenue as possible. And also, to be perfectly frank, 2024 has been really difficult from a revenue standpoint for a lot of people, us included. And so, like, I haven't been getting paid from Refuge for a hot minute, and I'm okay with it. As long as everybody inside the organization, other than me, they're getting paid, I'm cool with it. So, yeah. I'm a pastor. I talk about pastor stuff. I'm going to do pastor stuff. And if that's a deal breaker for you, just go watch Canadian Prepper, okay? Netanyahu's office has moved swiftly to try to rectify the situation, saying in a short statement after the review that Netanyahu had, quote, made it clear that we will not leave Gaza until we return all 120 of our hostages, living and deceased, end quote. The Prime Minister himself said on Monday, quote, we are committed to the Israeli proposal that President Biden welcomed. Our position has not changed, end quote. By the way, briefly, a couple of things. Number one, I'm really looking forward to the debates. Just from talk about a content creation standpoint. The Biden team has to use a body double. Like, they just have to. Or an actual robot, okay? So, meh. Other thing, the ultra-Orthodox faction of the Yehudim, the Jews over there in Israel, forever and a day, since the country's founding, has been exempt from military service in a nation that requires mandatory military service, because those people, the ultra-Orthodox, are rather committed to the study of Torah. And recently, Israel passed a law, issued an edict. I don't remember the exact how they got it through, but they're now requiring the ultra-Orthodox, who used to be a group of about 400 people, which today represents about 10 to 13% of their population, so over 1 million people, require them to participate in military service. And what's interesting is that that ultra-Orthodox faction has a lot of political influence, and they're basically saying, hey, if you make us participate in military service, you will lose all of your political support. There'll be a recall. We'll have new elections. Best of luck, Bibi Netanyahu. So it's and why do I care? I don't know that I do care, other than thanks, Biffer87, appreciate you. I don't know that I do care, other than it's kind of fascinating to watch, because you know, the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act here in the United States of America, just reauthorized, included a couple of things in there, like mandatory registration for military service, aka selective service. That already existed. You're supposed to do that when you turn 18. Well, now it's mandatory. They're going to do it for you. And women are now eligible to be drafted as well. And my taxpayer dollars are paying for this Israel-Hamas war on both sides of the equation. Hegelian dialectic, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Raytheon and Northrop Grumman and Halliburton make a bunch of money. Cool. I've had a lot of questions from people like, Bear, what should I do if they try to draft my kids? And I haven't fully formed those thoughts yet. I'm going to shoot a video on that if they try and draft our kids. But my basic supposition is this, is to physically draft somebody that I love, you have to be able to find them. To say whether or not should oh, you're talking about draft dodging. Dude, how many good men and women do we have to send somewhere else under the flag of the United States of America to go fight and die for freedom, which we know at this point isn't the case? Everybody saw the Afghanistan withdrawal. We saw Saudis fly planes into buildings on 9/11, and then because the Saudis flew planes into buildings, we then attack Iraq and Afghanistan, and then we spill tens of thousands of service members' blood in those two places, plus all the covert wars that were going on everywhere else. And then, yeah, we withdraw from Afghanistan and leave them billions of dollars in equipment and provisions. For what? For what? And if that sounds like an unpopular opinion, and by the way, yeah, I never served. Tried to, broke my sternum. Marine Corps said thanks, but no thanks. Different story for a different time. But dude, I have dozens of people in my life that are prior service. I'd say 60% of my friend group is prior service. Okay, cool. They ain't feeling it either. They're not feeling it either. They don't want to send their sons and now daughters to go fight and die somewhere else so that Halliburton can make another $1 trillion. And in fact, we're going to talk about Kenya in a moment, but the whole thing just kind of fascinates me. And you can't draft someone you can't physically lay hands on. This goes back to positions of strength, go and no-go zones. And people are seeing through the ruse at this point. Unvaxxed Nurse says, I just watched the Prather interview. Loved it, Bear. Go watch it now, Bear Nation. Well, after the brief. Yeah, the Chad Prather interview was great. Really like that guy. Really like that guy. You can find, just Google or search for YouTube, Chad Prather. You'll find it. I also posted a link to it on Patreon. So we continue reading. Netanyahu's office has moved swiftly to try and rectify the situation, saying in a short statement after the interview that Netanyahu made it clear, quote, that we will not leave Gaza until we return all 120 of our hostages, living and deceased. Oh yeah, I already read that. Vox recently reported that, quote, regional war is looming, end quote, as Israel may soon be setting its sights more squarely on Hezbollah to the north as the two peoples continue to exchange fire. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that it is a goal of the United States to, quote, to try and keep this conflict that is currently in Israel and Gaza from spinning out into regional conflict, end quote. Other than the continued exchange of blows, what evidence is there for this potential widening of the conflict? Hezbollah has recently released drone footage of a military base in Israel, and Israel is planning to move troops from Gaza to the northern border. And Netanyahu's words, quote, after the intense phase is finished, we have the possibility to move part of the forces north, and we will do this, end quote. Dude, all the pieces are being set on the world stage for global war. Is it a definite? No, it's not a definite. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it plausible? Yeah. What we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. There's like 19 countries currently involved in between the Ukraine Russia thing and Israel Hamas thing. There's like 19 countries significantly involved already. How is it not a world war already? Well, because the big guys aren't fighting the big guys. It's all proxy war in these other locations. You know, and I've said it 1,000 times, but I'll say it again. October 7th is Putin's birthday. Why did Hamas attack Israel on October 7th? Because it was Putin's birthday, and it coincided with the great 8th day, the last day of Sukkot, the Festival of Tabernacles. A very high, holy day. And so Hamas attacks Israel. Israel's greatest ally is the United States of America. Hamas is funded by Iran. Iran is trade partners with Russia, mostly for military arms. And so with Israel being attacked by Hamas, that then caused the United States of America to have to shift resources, which created an opening on the battlefield in Ukraine. The whole thing's retarded, y'all. I don't know why these people just need to have war, other than it allows them to coalesce power at the upper echelons of society where they are and to make even more money. And the money is just influence. Money is power. Money is the ability to operate. And it sure seems like we're headed like straight ahead, full steam into global war. To say nothing of China and the South China Sea, although China and Africa is having a really hard time because the Belt and Road Initiative, debt trap diplomacy is not going well for them at all. In fact, that's a contributing factor to what's happening in Kenya right now, is Chinese influence. All right, back to the brief. What of the Russia-Ukraine war? The European Union has just approved another round of sanctions against Russia that will close some loopholes and strike at gas exports for the first time. The country's revenues from liquefied natural gas are to be reduced through the banning of transferring cargo from one ship to another off EU ports, and Sweden and Finland are allowed to cancel some relevant contracts. Also, the United States has been trying to, at the upper, like all the way up here, big level strategic thinking, provide natural gas as a product that creates revenue for the United States and its constituents to Europe. Well, Europe has been getting their natural gas from Russia. The United States doesn't like that, which is why we, the big we, very, very, very likely blew the Nord Stream pipelines and then now are sanctioning Russian gas so that the Europeans have no choice but to buy it from the United States of America, which is A, asymmetric, and B, good for our economy. Which C leads me to my wider point. Why are we running headlong into warfare? Okay, because it's a play as old as time. War's good for the economy, and I don't know if you noticed, the economy is shit. So we shall see. It is not expected, the natural gas thing, to have too severe of an impact though. While it will cost Russia millions of euros, it doesn't account for the fact that Europe still purchases Russian gas, and transshipments through EU ports to Asia only account for 10% of the liquefied natural gas exports from Russia anyway. There is more to the sanctions package though. Another 116 entities and individuals have been added, so the running total is currently 2,200 entities or individuals sanctioned. It sanctions some individuals accused of conducting cyber operations against EU member countries in acts of cyber espionage for the Russian state. Additionally, it is also attempting to impact the quote shadow fleet or ghost fleet that aids Russia in the war by adding ships to the sanctions list, such as those moving ammunition from North Korea to Russia. You see, South Korea again said that they're having more border skirmishes. Coincidence, I'm sure. Positively sure. Oh, quick update. Caleb House, calebhouse.org with a K. Sorry, it's been a hot minute since I've done a brief and I'm rushing. I apologize. calebhouse.org, Caleb with a K. Our fundraising goal in between now and the 10th of July 2024 is $250,000, and each dollar that's donated will be matched up to $250K. So we have the potential to raise $500,000 for our anti-human trafficking ministry. And unlike a lot of other quote anti-human trafficking groups, we actually do it. We actually do rescue. We actually do restoration. I actually have teams in the field right this moment. Was texting with them last night and this morning. Right this moment. Okay, so we actually do stuff. We have hit 160,000 of the 250,000. So we're about 2/3 of the way there. Bless y'all. Thank you. Please continue to share out Caleb House, Caleb with a K, calebhouse.org, on socials, to talk to your pastors, your companies, whatever. We're a legit 501c3 nonprofit, so you get a tax break for donating to us, etc., etc., etc. So appreciate y'all very much. Now, from Refuge, no, RussiaToday.com. Richard G. Loved the pray-through interview. Thank you. Yeah, the pray-through interview was really good. You guys should go watch it. Please and thank you. And when you're there, leave a comment on the video. Bear Nation. Lamppost, that's correct. I think we need Hawaii to donate and we'll have all 50 states. That's correct. 49 of the 50 United States of America have donated to Caleb House during this campaign. Hawaii, I'm looking at you. I'm looking right at you. Right at you. You're the last kid picked in the game of dodgeball in the gym. What's going on here? I was before I was so rudely interrupted by the brief. Akiyata skirata. Apologies, bro. From RT, Kenyan leader vows crackdown amid deadly protests. William Ruto says it's unacceptable for criminals posing as peaceful protesters to terrorize people. Hold on, let's just read that subline again. It's unacceptable for criminals posing as peaceful protesters to terrorize people. Yeah, I would say accurate. Now, let's continue. The Kenyan government has mobilized all available resources to prevent a repeat of the violence that occurred on Tuesday, that was yesterday, when anti-tax protesters clashed with riot police, the Eastern African country's president, William Ruto, has warned. Now, Ruto, as I understand it, was elected to right the ship economically in Kenya. The way he has thus far attempted to right the ship, well, I'll just read this. Let's just say unpopular methods. Unpopular with the people. Not like Javier Milei in Argentina. Not like Javier, who's like, yeah, we're just going to drastically reduce the size of the government. That wasn't what Ruto did. The president, Ruto, made the remarks while addressing the nation on Tuesday night, following a day of widespread protests, chaos, and fatalities in Kenya, with protesters demanding his resignation and threatening a total shutdown. At least 5 people were shot and killed by police in a riot that began after lawmakers voted 195 to 106 to pass the government's 2024 finance bill. The new legislation includes tax increases to generate an additional $2.7 billion in revenue in response to International Monetary Fund demands. So, Kenya's in debt to the IMF. Ruto's plan to pay it off is to increase taxation of a people who elected him to right the ship economically. And as a result, they are rioting. And as a result, 5 people were killed in these riots. The government killed its own people. Foreshadowing anybody? Canary in the coal mine? Anybody? They hit the point, right? They hit the point, the people of Kenya, where they're just not going to take it anymore. They're just not going to take it. They can't. You can't give blood from a stone. There's no more tax to give. What do you do when that happens? Revolution? And again, I just find it super interesting. How close are we to that as the American people? A lot of people. Like, I just get the vibe, okay? I'm an intuitive person. Intuition is your mouth saying something that your brain doesn't have the words to yet explain. You just feel it. You just know it. All the data points are there, but you don't really quite know how to articulate it yet. And I just have a gut feeling called intuition that if this November election is allowed to happen, and if a certain individual is reelected, people are gonna lose their shit. There's no more blood to get from this stone. You can squeeze me as hard as you want. Nothing else is going to come out of this. There's groceries, just groceries. Bro, people can't afford to eat. The household savings, lowest number ever since it's been recorded. Household debt, highest number ever since they started keeping track. And you want people to pay more taxes for what? Gender fluidity studies by the federal government, so we can send it to Ukraine, so we can send it to Israel, blah, 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 blah. I thought you're a pastor. You don't support Israel? The nation state of Israel that was instituted by the British in 1947 is different than the people group of Israel in the Bible. Just so we're all on the same page here. And no, if we're going to send hundreds of billions of dollars overseas, maybe we can have that conversation when every single veteran in the United States of America has everything they need, is taken care of for their service to the country, or every single grandma eking out an existence on Social Security has everything they need and most of what they want, and that's handled, and all the roads are paved and the national debt is paid off, and we're so prosperous that if you drop $100 bill on the ground, it's not worth stopping to pick it up. Then we can talk about diplomacy by fiat currency, aka aid to all these other countries. We're not there. In case y'all haven't noticed, we're not there. And why do all these other countries get this aid? It's politics. It's absolutely politics. Politics have ruined this country. We need an operator in the White House, somebody that can operate a business in the White House, not politicians, bro. And I'm not, if you've been here for any length of time, you know that I'm not just super excited to go sit on Donald Trump's lap either. But I remember the economy 5 years ago, compare contrast to today, in a half a decade, bro, the difference. So, Tia, the United States needs to repent. I agree. All right, let's go back to this Kenya thing. 31 people were injured in the capital, Nairobi, according to a joint statement by Amnesty International, the Kenya Medical Association, the Law Society of Kenya, and the Police Reforms Working Group. Quote, 13 have been shot with live bullets, 4 with rubber bullets, and 3 people have been hit with launcher canisters. 11 others survived with minor injuries, end quote. The coalition claimed that uniformed and non-uniformed officers had kidnapped 21 people, persons of interest, rabble-rousers, organizers, leadership, and arrested at least 52 more over the last 24 hours. Kenyan British activist Alma Obama, the half-sister of the former U.S. President Barack Hussein Obama, was tear-gassed while giving a live interview to CNN. By the way, this harkens to this concept of Revelation 18 verse 4. Come out of her, my people, lest you partake of her sins and receive of her plagues. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time will all the way get you wrapped up in some shit that you don't need to be wrapped up in. Bear, how do I avoid martial law? Don't be where it is. What about the mandatory re-education camps? Don't go there. Don't be where they are. But what happens, just because you live in the country doesn't mean you're not going to have problems in the country. I know, but they ain't going to start in the country, which gives me time and distance. Standoff. That's the Kenya thing. Moscow's embassy in Kenya has advised Russian citizens in the former British colony to avoid, quote, crowded places and comply with the requirements of local authorities due to further deterioration of the situation in the country. Now, Kenya is also allegedly sending troops, 400 at first, and then to surge to 1,000 to Haiti to help deal with the situation on the ground in Haiti. Another wildly unpopular thing that's happening in Kenya. So, vision preparedness, bless you, thank you. And then the last article I want to look at for today is from The Blaze. America's Most Wanted host warns border crisis is fueling child sex trafficking. Incredible travesty. John Walsh sounds the alarm about the unaccompanied minor children entering the country. America's Most Wanted host John Walsh recently warned that the border crisis is fueling child sex trafficking. During a red carpet event earlier this month, Walsh discussed how Mexican cartels and Central American gangs are working together to turn a profit trafficking unaccompanied minors. A red carpet event. Why a red carpet event? That's what they call a gala. That's where people dress up fancy and pay $2,500 to $10,000 a plate for dinner. And it costs $100 a plate to feed them, and then the difference the ministry keeps, or the organization, nonprofit keeps, in order to fund whatever it is that they have going on. We've never done a gala with Caleb House. We did a Whiskey with Bear event, which was kind of like our gala, because I'm not that fancy. Exactly, Big Tex. A gay-la. The word gay is right in it. I'm not really that fancy. I'm not really into it. So we're like, what are we into? Well, we like hanging out with our homies and having a sip of whiskey. And so we did that. But anyway, that's why, red carpet event. Matt Walsh, explained that parents are paying criminal organizations to take their children under the guise that they will safely transport them to the U.S. to find work opportunities. Quote, we need people battling because of what's happening at the wall, Walsh told Fox News. What's happening at the border is an incredible travesty. Cartels bring children to the border, they push them across, they get paid by the parents who think they're going to get their daughter or son a job in America. They're not, Walsh explained. Quote, continuing, they get them across the border, the cartels, then the gangs take over, MS-13, Venezuelan gangs, violent gangs. And those little girls and some boys are being trafficked. They move every couple of days. These gangs from Central America, horrible, Walsh continued. We finally got the Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, to admit that they have pushed across, and here's why we're here. They've pushed across 78,000 unaccompanied minors since November. November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. 8 months, 78,000, about 10,000 a month. 300 a day. Unaccompanied minors just pushed through. Continuing his quote, where did those kids go? Who took those kids? We know who took them, sex traffickers. So our work's going to be cut out big time. According to Customs and Border Protection data, Border Patrol agents at the southern border have processed more than 82,000 unaccompanied minors from October 2023 through May 2024. America's Most Wanted gives communities and the individuals a way to turn those bad cops, blah, 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 blah. Television series, 1,200 arrests, 61 child rescues, blah, blah, blah. blah, blah, blah. So, from my experience in this space, yes, that's child trafficking. The definition of trafficking is the exploitation of one human being by another. A lot of what they're talking about there is child smuggling. What happens to these kids? Some of them are sex trafficked. Those that are old enough to reproduce, they then have children, babies. Those babies are used for medical experimentation and also born into sex trafficking. There's a growing trend of the abusers victimizing nonverbal children because nonverbal children can't testify. And in the United States of America, you have a constitutional right to face your accuser. Well, if your accuser can't testify, you get off. This is why I want to delete all of these people. All of them. All of them. And when the child has been used up from a sex trafficking standpoint, then their organs are harvested and they die. And it's a huge black market. Huge black market. Because nobody knows they even exist. That's why we do what we do with Caleb House. And if you think I'm a shill or you don't want to pour into that, cool. You do you. If you do want to pour into it, you know how to get a hold of me. You know where to go. You know, and it's always the people that aren't doing shit that have the free time and the audacity to criticize those that are. You know? You're never going to find somebody doing better than you talking shit on you. It's always those who are doing worse than you, doing less than you, that are jealous of you, talking shit on you. Jealous of what? What are you jealous of? You want my 100-hour work weeks? You want my truck that's in the shop right now that doesn't run? You want my sleepless nights? Best of luck. Have at it. Be less concerned with what I do and be more concerned with what you should be doing. Okay? That's the brief for today. Listen, this little company right here, this little company, Refuge, has funded more actual action, boots on the ground, rescue and restoration in the juvenile human trafficking space than I can ever tell you about. We also make all of our stuff in America. See right there, made in America. We also guarantee these forever. We started this company in my barn 4 years ago, and we're now on 4 continents with all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces electively. 125 people still here because of these kits. Hundreds of aid rendered stories. They work. This is not a boo-boo kit for if Susie fell off of her bike, although we have those too. This is for shot, stabbed, blown up, motor vehicle accident, mass casualty incident. And by the way, if you're like, I would never be at a mass casualty incident. You ever drive around with 5 or more people in your vehicle? MCI level 1 is 5 or more casualties. A bad car wreck with 5 or more people is a mass casualty incident. Okay? Never say never. Man, we've been busting our ass with Refuge. New products, improving existing products, vertically integrating the sew shop. See, and everybody wants to live the American dream, but very few people are willing to pay with their blood, sweat, and tears in order to live the American dream. I've been a business owner since I was 17 years old. why I got so much gray in my beard, because I'm not that old. That's why my back doesn't work like it should. We've been busting our ass with Refuge to be able to make the best products on planet Earth, provide them to you at a reasonable cost, and provide a value that greatly exceeds the reasonable cost. And if you want a $4 tourniquet off of Timo, go for it. You're gonna die. When you go to use that thing, you're gonna die. So you might have saved a few bucks, but you died. I think it is irresponsible for anybody, us included, to provide air quote trauma kits that are built out with things that do not work when you need them. Because now not only have you drastically increased the likelihood that you do not survive. Oh, TQ check. All right. Look, a tourniquet. Not only have you drastically reduced your chances of survival, you're running around with a false sense of security, thinking that you're good to go, and you're not. I got that one on. Good. So, it's double bad. It's double bad. Okay? That's not Refuge. Refuge is for life. That's our new motto, by the way, for life. Number one, because we are for the preservation of life. Number two, you need these kits for everyday life, not just shot, stabbed, blown up. Everyday life. Number three, they're guaranteed for life. Okay? So, you can find us at refugemedical.com. Right now, orders over 150 bucks. You are getting a free additional pouch. We found a tote full of pouches in the sew shop, and so you get a free additional pouch. Orders over 150, and I think it's orders over 125. You get the summer burn kit as well, because the 4th of July is coming. And yeah, summer burn kit. So you can check all that stuff out. Like, everything's in stock, everything's shipping fast. We just got a report of a heat casualty. But why does it matter if there's quick fulfillment? Got a report of a heat casualty. A guy ordered an OX kit, OSHA compliance kit. And one of his employees on the site passed out, severe heat stress, heat stroke. And they were able to get that guy cooled down and elevate to a higher level of care by using the cold packs that were in the OSHA compliance kit and oral rehydration salts. Right? And so you think shot, stabbed, blown up, and it's like, no, medicine, basic physiology. So regulate your temperature, make sure the air goes in and out, make sure the blood goes round and round. But I digress. You can find all that stuff at refugemedical.com. We're going to talk to Dad after I take this tourniquet off, because I don't want my mind on this tourniquet while we do this. I just saw yesterday on socials that the team at Refuge had like tables full of field medics and stomps going out, being shipped. I love that. I love that. I love to see that. And if you need something custom, or you need a big order or whatever, sales at refugemedical.com. Sales at refugemedical.com. We can take care of you. Volume orders, custom kitting, whatever, bro. You know the drill. Oh, good morning, Father Yah. Father, thank you for allowing us to wake up again today. Father, thank you for your miraculous provision, protection, and blessing. Father, please continue to bless the work of our hands. And let us remember that he who puts his hand to the plow and turns back is not worthy to enter the kingdom of Elohim. Father, thank you that the windshield is so much bigger than the rearview mirror. that all the things in our past are in our past, and that you don't hold them against us anymore by the blood of Messiah. Father, please convict us in how we're supposed to walk, where we are supposed to walk, what we're supposed to do. Father, give us strength and power and authority in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach to be your hands and feet. Father, pour out your spirit for wisdom and discernment. Give us the words that we need and let us speak them to the people that need to hear them. Father, please give us peace that surpasses all understanding. Whatever it is that we're going through, please minister to us. Be our shepherd, not just the shepherd. Father, all the people who are hurting right now, just wrap them up and love them. Please, be it your will, undeniably manifest yourself to them in such a way that it can't be anything but you. Heal them, Father. Father, please let us continue to serve you. Father, please forgive us of our sins by the blood of Messiah, that we might be able to enter into your presence again. All right, there's one of y'all out there who's going through some relationship stuff. So Father, please be indwelt in that situation. Father, please bring good, righteous communication, resolution of conflict, the healing of broken hearts, the restoring of trust, the unity of one flesh, forgiveness and repentance, Father. Teshuvah. Father, please put a hedge around all these people. Father, anything that's not of you within the sound of my voice, I rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach and command it to flee. Please continue to build us up. Please continue to walk with us. Father, bless these people today. Protect them today. And provide for these people today. In Yeshua's name, Amen. It's weird, I'm praying and I can see, I don't know who it is, but like a man and a woman in a knockdown drag out, screaming, finger pointing, cabinets being slammed. I don't know who that is. But if it's you, return to your first love. Repent. Confess. Speak truth in love. I love y'all. I see y'all when I see you. Shalom.